right, good morning. This again is a special magistrate session for February in the city of Oviedo. We are now dealing with the administrative citations docket. We have two items on that docket. The first is citation number PD 0197, case number 2015 CE 003449, involving Gary Michael Jones. Apparently the citation was issued on November 25, 2015. Who's going to be presenting the case on behalf of the city? Would you come forward, please, sir? Would you state your full name for the record?
Officer Robert Brunges.
Spell the last name.
B as in boy, R-U-N-J-E-S.
B-R-U-N.
J-E-S.
J-E-S. And the first name again?
Robert.
And you are with the City of Oviedo Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Tell us the circumstances surrounding the issuance of this citation, Mr. Brunges.
It was on November 25th, 2015, 10:08 a.m. Approximately that time I observed Mr. Jones walking.
What time of day was it?
It was 10:08 a.m. I might have said p.m. It was 10:08 a.m.
Okay.
I observed Mr. Jones walking his dogs down Alfaywood Boulevard near Wheeler Place. At that time, I observed the dogs off the leash. I recognized Mr. Jones from prior contacts on November 22nd of the same year. I was out there. His dogs and a neighbor's dogs had an altercation. Mr. Jones was advised of the city ordinance to keep his dogs on the leash in any kind of public place. I advised him if it happened again in the future, he could be subject to a citation. And then on this day, on November 25th, is when I observed him walking his dogs down Alfaywood Boulevard with no leash. I did a U-turn. I found him on Schaefer Trail, which intersects with Wheeler Place.
Schaefer, how you spell it?
S-H-A-F-F-E-R.
And that's Schaefer Place?
Schaefer Trail.
Trail, okay.
I got on my vehicle. I made contact with Mr. Jones. I advised him that I had told him the previous day that he had to keep his dogs on the leash. And at that time, I identified him by his Florida driver's license, and I issued him an administrative citation.
How many dogs were there?
There was 2 dogs off the leash. I issued him 1 citation. And I do have, if you would accept it, I have my computer. It has my body camera footage from that day when I made contact with him, and it shows the dogs off the leash.
Yes, I would like to see that. And Mr. Jones, are you here today? You're welcome to view this at the same time I do if you want to. Let's just bring it up here.
The first 30 seconds are going to be silent because it's a loop. So after 30 seconds, the sound will come on. Okay. No, that's okay. Can you guys see?
The record, we're now watching the body cam video. It is dated February 25, 2000.
That's the view date. That's saying that's our view date right now.
again, for the record, it does show Mr. Jones with two dogs. One appears to be a German Shepherd, another a large dog, both off the leash. Thank you. Officer Brunches, anything else you have to present at this time?
That's all I have, sir.
All right. Mr. Jones, do you have anything to offer? If you would, sir, raise your right hand. If you're going to present any testimony, yes, both raise your and state your full name, sir, for the record.
Gary Michael Jones.
And ma'am?
Mary Ann Jones.
All right. keep your hand raised. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
I've lived in this community for approximately 30 years. For 28 years, I've walked my dogs along the same stretch of roadway. During that period of time, I've been training dogs for 28 years. I've walked them on and off leash during that period of time. I've had no complaints from any of my residents or anyone for that matter. If I had complaints, then I would address them with my neighbors. I don't know which neighbors he's referring to. As far as I know, that's hearsay because no one's even complained to me since then. So I don't know where these complaints are originating from. They don't urinate or go to the bathroom in anybody's yard. If they were to do that, it's cleaned up. And I do walk them off leash continuously, especially on Alpha Woods Boulevard because it's a long stretch of roadway. And if anybody is out there, the dogs are recalled because they are advanced obedience trained. They're not aggressive. They're put in a down position where people can pass because I realize that they look a little bit intimidating to some people that do not know them. But now, all of a sudden, the last 2 months, I'm having issues with the Oviedo Police Department. Until this time, after this incident occurred, I've had other Oviedo police officers pass me on Alpha Woods Boulevard, and I have not had any complaints from any of the rest of them.
Were they on the leash?
No. And they're not offensive. They're not bothering anybody. I understand if I brought them up into a public place, a city facility such as this building, they would be leashed. Or if anyone approaches me and they have an animal, they're leashed. In the incident that he's referring to, the original incident was brought on by the neighbor's dog that ran out of the garage, down the driveway, across the street, and confronted my animals. And this is the third incident that I had with this particular 2 dogs before anything occurred. And my dogs did not hurt those animals.
What were the other incidents?
Pardon me?
You said there were 3 other incidents or 2 other incidents?
He's referring to an incident that was happening prior to the date of the citation.
Okay, and what was that incident?
There's a neighbor that lives around the corner from me. She moved in about a year ago. She has 2 poodles. Every time when I make that corner, I leash the dogs or put the leash around their neck because I've had 3 other incidences where her dogs have charged mine, coming out of the garage, down the driveway, across the street, at my dogs. She's asked me to train her dogs on 2 separate occasions, and I refused to do so because I didn't know and had nothing to do with them. That's what started this whole ordeal.
Okay.
Call the city of Oviedo. I am the only person in the city of Oviedo that's been issued a citation for a dog off leash for the whole year of 2015 up until today's date. There has not been another citation issued in the city of Oviedo.
Okay. Anything else to present?
No, sir, that's pretty much it.
All right. Ms. Jones.
I have both dogs in the vehicle. I'd be more than happy to bring them in and show you that they're well maintained.
That's not necessary.
They're verbal control and leash control. The verbal is for me because they weigh more than I do. But they are immediate. They will go into a POTS position. As you saw on the video, Gary gave him a command. They went right down. They went right down into POTS and stayed. They did not.
And the officers, if you ask them, they'll testify that these dogs are not aggressive. They've never been aggressive to them. They are under verbal command. Anytime I've come into contact with them, they are put down in a sit position or lay down position in German, and they will stay there until such time.
And the dogs are, one's a German Shepherd, it looked like?
He's a puppy,
What's the other one?
a Rottweiler. He's 5 years old.
Okay.
And the kids in my neighborhood know my dogs' names more than they know my names.
Okay. Anything else to present?
They're just, I know that when I let them off, I don't let them off as long as he does, but it is to practice the verbal commands.
Okay.
And I have no other areas to do that. And I think I'm more than a responsible pet owner.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Just one second. Well, I do find that there's been a violation of City Ordinance 10-21. It states explicitly that dogs must be leashed in a public place, and Alafaya Trail and Schaefer Trail are definitely both public places. The problem, Mr. Jones, is this. You know that your dogs are well behaved, but people that they encounter may not. They may be fearful of them, especially given their size. And even well-behaved dogs have been known to bite people. I can tell you I'm an attorney and I practiced law for 35 years. And during that time I handled many dog bite cases. And in almost all of those, I heard the same thing you're saying today. These dogs are very well behaved. The last case I had like that, the dog had torn the cheek off of a 5-year-old girl who happened to surprise him. So the fact that you believe your dogs are well behaved, I'm sorry, sir, that just does not do it. Other people have a right to be concerned when they see 2 dogs running loose. And there's a reason for the city's ordinance. And all I can tell you is that it is a violation of city ordinance, whether you agree with it or not. And because there were 2 dogs running free on the state, that constitutes, in my mind, 2 violations. This is a Class 1 violation, which carries with it a fine of $50. Because there were 2 dogs, I'm going to assess a fine of $100, which may be paid at the annex next door at the Utility and Finance Department. Should there be a reoccurrence, then of course the fine escalates for each class. If it moves into a Class 2 violations, then the base fine becomes $100. Should it escalate a 3rd time, the base fine becomes $300 and so forth, up to $500. I hear so many stories of my dog doesn't bite in my career, and I've seen the horrible results that come from that. In my neighborhood, which is in Oviedo, not long ago, a German Shepherd, very well-behaved dog. Nobody in the neighborhood complained about it. But a small dog came up from behind, surprised it, and it killed the small dog. So there are good reasons for the leash laws. If you're an HOA, I'd be surprised if your HOA doesn't have a prohibition against walking dogs running free. So like it or not, you're going to have to leash them or pay a fine for each offense. So I am going to assess a $100 fine, and hopefully you find a way to correct the situation so we don't find ourselves here again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Officer Brunges.
Do you need this yard before it's signed?
Did you turn one in to Ms. Stevens earlier? Yeah, she'll need that. Thank you, sir. And if you're going directly next door to pay the fine, Mr. O'Rourke may have to go over there and tell them, because until I do my written order, they won't know what's going on.
Can I get an extension to pay that fine until the 1st of the month? I'm retired on Social Security.
I'll give you until March 15th.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next item on the administrative citations docket is a parking citation, C7778, Linsworth Frankson, license 614-7NJ, was issued February 1, 2016. All right, who is going to be presenting the case on behalf of the city? All right, would you come forward, please, sir? Would you state your name for the record and spell it?
Sergeant Carl Rager, R-A-G-E-R, with the City of Oviedo Police Department.
All right. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Tell us the circumstances surrounding the issuance of this citation. The alleged violation is parking improperly on a sidewalk.
On February 1st of this year, at around 11:20 a.m., I was patrolling the parking lot of LA Fitness on Mitchell Hammock Road. I observed two motorcycles parked up on the concreted area in front of the business, one of them being the complainant here today. There's a sign clearly marked, posted on a post right at the same location that states no parking on sidewalks.
And this was at LA Fitness?
Correct. I ran both tags. I issued citations to both motorcycles and took photos of the scene as well.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Do you have the photos by chance, or would you like to
I do not. May I see them? That would be fine, sir. Oh, okay. But let me.
This is the other motorcycle that breakers this on.
All right. Is this a copy I can keep?
Yes.
These copies? All right. I have two photographs showing a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk, and then have a sign in one of the photographs saying no parking on the sidewalk. Those are going to be received into evidence. All right. Mr. Frankson, would you come forward, please, sir? You have anything to offer? First, raise your right hand, please, sir.
Yes.
What is your full name, sir?
My full name is Lenworth Frankson.
All right. And what is your address, Mr. Frankson?
2972 Hunters Lane, Oviedo, Florida, 32766.
All right. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell us why you were parked there, or what were the circumstances?
On February 1st, I went to the gym, LA Fitness across the street, and I parked my bike under what I consider to be like a covered patio at the side of the building where the bicycles are. And I left my bike, and when I came out, I saw a citation on the bike. But when I thought about it and I looked at it, it appeared to me to be very unclear as to exactly where I park, if that would be considered the sidewalk. Because it's, and I have some photographs along here to share if you would like to see them.
If you want me to see them, I'll be happy to see
Yes,
them.
sir. So it's kind of, to me, ambiguous as to what exactly is the sidewalk, because in the front of the building, that paved section there is what I understand the sidewalk to be. Or where my motorcycle was parked was under a covered section, which I don't see that to be the sidewalk by itself, because no one really walks there. There's a bicycle rack there, and the bicycles are parked there. So I'm contesting it, because to me it seems to be unclear as to that area being called the sidewalk. To me it's as if it's saying that my forehead is an extension of my nose because it's the same skin. I mean, that might be not the best scenario or example to use, but I didn't consider that area to be actually the sidewalk.
And did you have a photograph you wanted me to look at?
Yes, sir. Should I come?
Yes, please. And you're showing this to me on your cell phone.
Yes, sir. Because I use that because it's dated to say that it's the correct. This is where the bike was parked. Here's another view for me. The area that is bright is where it's not covered. I understand that to be the sidewalk. These are just pictures of the bike again. I can show you the building itself. Now here's the building there. See, obviously my bike is not here. It's on this covered patio section that's further in.
Okay.
And I didn't consider that to be the sidewalk.
You didn't see this part sign?
No, sir, I didn't see that. And that is not exactly in front of where the bikes were parked.
Isn't that one of those bikes? Isn't that yours? It's within 10 feet of that sign.
No, that's not my bike.
Well, the next one back is, there are two bikes there. Is that the area you parked your bike in?
It's in that area.
Yeah, your bike is the one closest to the wall.
Right, that's my bike.
Well, that's within 10 feet of the sign, isn't it? Isn't it, sir? You see the same sign and
This is a better picture of the building itself. This is a sign here, right? This is the area.
yeah, and this is where your bike is.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one of the sections. This is over here. Is where the bike is.
Okay. All right. Anything else you have to
No,
present?
that's it. Sir.
All right. Well, I find from the evidence that you did violate city ordinance and Florida statute 316.1945 subsection 1A2. That is a non-moving violation under Ovida's ordinances that carries with it a $30 fine. So I am going to assess a fine of $30, which you can pay next door. But I think that's pretty clear that is sidewalk. The fact that there's no curb there doesn't mean it's not sidewalk. It's pretty clear it's a different material than the asphalt parking lot. It's clearly signed. So I do find, Mr. Frankson, that there was a violation. So you may pay your fine next door.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Anything else to come before us today? All right. Nothing else on the docket. We will be adjourned.